Taylor Swift was enjoying a quiet day off in her adopted hometown of Nashville. Dressed in casual jeans and a hoodie, she strolled down a tree lined street with her earbuds in, humming along to a playlist of her favorite tracks. She loved moments like this, ones where she could feel invisible, blending into the city she adored, despite her global fame. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. As she turned a corner, her footfalls softened on the cobblestone sidewalk. That's when she first noticed it. A tiny, scruffy puppy trailing behind her, its eyes wide and hopeful, its little paws pattering quietly. Taylor paused, unsure if she was imagining things, but the puppy stopped as well, sitting down awkwardly on its hind legs. It tilted its head at her, an endearing mix of curiosity and pleading etched into its features. Taylor crouched down, smiling despite herself. "Hey there, little one," she said softly. The puppy wagged its tail hesitantly as if unsure whether to trust her. Its fur was patchy and matted, clearly showing signs of life on the streets. The sight tugged at Taylor's heart. As someone who had always adored animals, her cats, Meredith, Olivia, and Benjamin Button, were practically celebrities themselves. She couldn't just walk away. But the situation wasn't simple. Was this puppy lost? Abandoned? A part of her hesitated. What if its owner was nearby, looking for it? Yet another part of her, stronger and more insistent, knew she couldn't leave without doing something to help. "Come on," she said gently, beckoning to the puppy. It stood up on wobbly legs and began following her again, staying just close enough to show its intent, but far enough to remain cautious. Taylor headed toward a small park nearby where she sat on a bench, hoping the puppy would come closer. After a few minutes of coaxing with soothing words and an improvised snack, a small piece of granola bar she dug out from her bag, the puppy finally approached. Taylor got her first close look at it. It was heartbreakingly thin, its ribs faintly visible under the dirty fur. Its soulful brown eyes were filled with both fear and hope, and its trembling body told her that it hadn't known comfort or safety in a long time. Without thinking twice, she pulled out her phone and called her assistant. "Hey," she said when the call connected, her voice urgent. "I need a vet's contact, like right now." Her assistant didn't question her, knowing Taylor's tendency to dive headfirst into helping animals. Within minutes, Taylor had the address of a nearby vet clinic. She wrapped the puppy in her sweater and cradled it gently. Though it initially squirmed, the warmth of her embrace seemed to calm it, and it eventually nestled into her arms. When Taylor entered the clinic, the staff immediately recognized her, but she quickly waved off their excitement. "This little one needs help," she said, gesturing to the puppy. The vet examined the puppy, confirming Taylor's suspicions. It was severely malnourished, dehydrated, and suffering from a minor skin infection. It was also unchipped and untagged, meaning no owner could be traced. The vet's prognosis was cautiously optimistic. The puppy would recover, but it needed care, love, and a stable environment. Taylor didn't hesitate. "I'll take care of it," she said firmly, her expression resolute. The staff exchanged knowing smiles, already sensing the bond forming between Taylor and the scrappy little pup. Over the next few days, Taylor committed herself fully to the puppy's recovery. She named him Rusty, inspired by the reddish tint hidden in his otherwise dirt-streaked fur. Rusty quickly became a staple in her home, finding himself in the company of her beloved cats. At first, there were moments of comedic chaos. Meredith and Olivia were less than thrilled about the canine intrusion, arching their backs and hissing whenever Rusty approached. But Benjamin Button, ever the curious and friendly one, was the first to warm up to Rusty, sniffing him cautiously before deciding he was harmless. Rusty's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Within weeks, his fur grew back, soft and glossy. His once hesitant demeanor was replaced by an exuberant tail-wagging personality. He followed Taylor everywhere, whether she was practicing the guitar, baking in her kitchen, or lounging on the couch with a book. The once timid puppy now seemed to radiate gratitude and joy, as if he knew he had been saved from a cruel fate. It didn't take long for Rusty to start appearing in Taylor's social media posts. Fans went wild for the adorable pup, who quickly became an internet sensation. Taylor posted a heartfelt message on Instagram, accompanied by a photo of Rusty lying in her lap. "Meet Rusty, my new best friend. He found me when I wasn't looking, and now I can't imagine life without him. He's a reminder that love can show up in the most unexpected places." But the story didn't end there. Rusty's journey touched something deep within Taylor. Inspired by his resilience, she decided to do more than just share his story. She reached out to local animal shelters and rescue organizations, offering her platform to raise awareness about stray animals and the importance of adoption. One of the organizations she partnered with was a struggling local shelter called Paws for Hope. Their facilities were overcrowded, and they were on the verge of closing due to lack of funding. Taylor organized a benefit concert, inviting other artists and using her influence to bring attention to the cause. The concert, aptly titled For Rusty and Friends, was a massive success, raising enough money to not only save the shelter, but also expand its operations. Rusty even made a special appearance during the concert. As Taylor performed an acoustic set, she brought Rusty on stage, introducing him to the crowd. The audience erupted into cheers as Rusty wagged his tail excitedly, his eyes sparkling under the stage lights. It was a moment that encapsulated the entire journey, a once-forgotten stray now standing in the spotlight, loved by millions. What happened next was even more extraordinary. Inspired by Rusty's story, thousands of Taylor's fans began adopting pets from shelters, sharing their own stories online with the hashtag #Rusty'sRevolution. Animal shelters across the country reported surges in adoption rates, with people citing Taylor and Rusty as their motivation. For Taylor, the experience was transformative. Rusty wasn't just a dog, he was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of love. Every time she looked at him, she was reminded of that fateful day on the cobblestone street when a tiny puppy with pleading eyes had chosen her. It was a choice that changed both of their lives forever. Years later, Rusty remained by Taylor's side, a constant companion through all the highs and lows of her life. And though she had achieved countless milestones in her career, Taylor often said that rescuing Rusty was one of the most meaningful things she had ever done. Rusty's story continued to inspire people around the world, proving that sometimes the smallest gestures of kindness can lead to the most extraordinary outcomes. Rusty's story continued to evolve, not just within the walls of Taylor's home, but far beyond it. The small, scrappy puppy she had rescued from the streets became a beloved part of her life and a catalyst for change in ways she never anticipated. Rusty, now fully recovered and thriving, became the embodiment of resilience and second chances, capturing the hearts of millions who followed his journey. As the years passed, Rusty seamlessly integrated into Taylor's world. He became a fixture in her daily routine, joining her on long walks, curling up at her feet during late-night songwriting sessions, and even tagging along on tours. Despite the glamorous lifestyle Taylor often led, she made sure Rusty never lost the sense of safety and belonging she had worked so hard to provide for him. In return, Rusty gave her unconditional love, his wagging tail a constant reminder that she was never truly alone. But Taylor wasn't content with Rusty's story ending there. She knew that his journey represented something larger, a call to action for the millions of stray and abandoned animals around the world who still needed help. Inspired by Rusty, Taylor decided to take her advocacy for animal welfare to new heights. One day, while lounging on her sun-drenched porch with Rusty at her side, Taylor had an idea. What if she created a foundation in Rusty's name? A place that could provide not only resources for shelters, but also raise awareness about the plight of stray animals. The thought grew in her mind like a spark igniting a flame, and within weeks, the Rusty's Paw Project was born. The Foundation's mission was clear: to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome animals in need, while also providing funding and support to struggling shelters. Taylor poured her energy into the project, dedicating as much time to it as she did to her music. She worked closely with animal behaviorists, veterinarians, and shelter owners to ensure the Foundation's efforts were impactful. Rusty naturally became the face of the campaign. His expressive eyes and endearing story resonated deeply with people, inspiring countless donations and volunteer efforts. One of the Foundation's first major initiatives was to create mobile veterinary units that could travel to underserved areas, providing medical care and spay-neuter services to stray animals. These units, emblazoned with a logo featuring Rusty's likeness, became a symbol of hope in communities that had long struggled with overpopulation and limited resources. Each time one of these units pulled into a town, people would gather to see Rusty's story in action, a tangible example of what love and care could accomplish. Taylor also wanted to tackle the root causes of animal homelessness. Through the Foundation, she launched an educational program aimed at schools, teaching children the importance of kindness toward animals and the responsibilities of pet ownership. Rusty often made surprise appearances at these events, delighting students and leaving a lasting impression on young hearts. Taylor believed that fostering compassion in the next generation was key to creating a future where fewer animals would suffer. Meanwhile, Rusty continued to enjoy his life as a cherished member of Taylor's family. His adventures often found their way into her music, subtly woven into lyrics that spoke of love, healing, and finding one's place in the world. Fans began to speculate that certain songs were inspired by Rusty, and Taylor didn't deny it. In interviews, she would smile and say, "Rusty's been through more than most of us can imagine. He's a survivor, and that's something worth singing about." As the foundation gained momentum, Taylor decided to take its mission global. She partnered with international organizations, expanding Rusty's Paw Project to countries where stray animals faced even greater challenges. In places like India, Greece, and Brazil, the foundation worked tirelessly to build shelters, train local rescue teams, and provide resources for communities. Rusty's story, translated into multiple languages, became a beacon of hope for people across the world. One particularly moving moment came during a trip to a rural village in South America. Taylor visited a small makeshift shelter where volunteers were struggling to care for dozens of abandoned dogs. Among the group was a young girl named Lucia, who had taken it upon herself to feed and care for the animals with whatever scraps she could find. When Taylor arrived, Lucia shyly approached her, holding a photo of Rusty that she had seen online. "You saved him," Lucia said in halting English, her eyes wide with admiration. "I want to save them too." Taylor knelt down, tears welling in her eyes. "You're already a hero," she told Lucia. "Rusty and I are just here to help you." The encounter left a profound impact on Taylor. She returned to Nashville more determined than ever to continue her work, fueled by the knowledge that Rusty's story was inspiring real change in places far removed from her own life. Back at home, Rusty's presence continued to shape Taylor's world in ways both profound and unexpected. He had a way of grounding her, reminding her to find joy in the simple things. A morning walk, a cozy nap, the warmth of companionship. Taylor often joked that Rusty was her tour therapist, a calming influence amidst the chaos of her hectic schedule. On days when the pressures of fame felt overwhelming, she would sit with Rusty in her lap, his steady heartbeat a soothing reminder of what truly mattered. Rusty's bond with Taylor's fans also deepened. During meet and greets, fans would bring gifts for Rusty, homemade treats, tiny sweaters, and even handwritten letters thanking him for inspiring them. Taylor often shared these moments on social media, highlighting the ways Rusty's story had touched people's lives. One fan wrote, "I adopted my dog because of Rusty. I never thought I'd be a dog person, but now I can't imagine life without him. Thank you for showing us what love can do." As Rusty grew older, Taylor became acutely aware of how precious their time together was. She cherished every moment, knowing that the little puppy who had once been on the brink of despair had now lived a life full of love and purpose. Rusty's graying muzzle and slower steps didn't diminish his spirit. If anything, they made him even more endearing. Taylor often found herself reflecting on the journey they had shared, marveling at how one chance encounter had changed both of their lives forever. One particularly poignant moment came during a quiet evening at home. Taylor was sitting by the fireplace, strumming her guitar when Rusty padded over and rested his head on her lap. She set the guitar aside and ran her fingers through his fur, her mind drifting to all the lives he had touched. In that moment, she realized that Rusty wasn't just a part of her story. He was her story. He had given her life a deeper sense of meaning, reminding her that even the smallest acts of kindness could create ripples of change. In the years that followed, the legacy of Rusty's Paw Project continued to grow. The foundation became a global force for good, saving countless animals and inspiring millions of people to take action. Taylor often said that none of it would have been possible without Rusty, the scrappy, resilient puppy who had followed her on a quiet Nashville street and refused to let her walk away. As for Rusty, he spent his days basking in the love of a family that adored him, his tail wagging with the unshakable happiness of a life well lived. And though his journey had started with heartbreak and hardship, it had become a testament to the transformative power of love, a story that would continue to inspire for generations to come. Rusty's journey became more than just a personal story for Taylor Swift. It blossomed into a cultural movement, changing the way people viewed stray animals and inspiring kindness across the globe. The little dog who had once struggled to survive on the streets of Nashville now symbolized hope, perseverance, and the possibility of a brighter future for creatures often overlooked or forgotten. As the Rusty's Paw project gained worldwide acclaim, its impact rippled far beyond animal shelters and rescue organizations. Celebrities, philanthropists, and activists joined Taylor in her mission, using their platforms to spread awareness and contribute to the cause. The Foundation's annual benefit concert, initially conceived as a local event, grew into a multi-city extravaganza featuring some of the biggest names in music and entertainment. Cities like Los Angeles, London, Sydney, and Tokyo hosted Paws Across the World events, where fans gathered not only for unforgettable performances, but also to celebrate their shared commitment to rescuing animals in need. Each concert featured heartwarming stories of rescued animals and their new families, shared through videos and live testimonials. Rusty always made an appearance, often trotting onto the stage to thunderous applause, his tail wagging as he soaked in the love from the crowd. Taylor would kneel beside him, her voice filled with emotion as she reminded the audience why they were there. "Rusty is proof that every life matters," she would say. "If we can show compassion to one stray, imagine what we can do if we all come together." Beyond the concerts, the Rusty's Paw Project launched innovative programs to address systemic issues contributing to animal homelessness. One such initiative focused on rural areas with limited access to veterinary care. Taylor and her team worked to establish permanent veterinary clinics in underserved communities, staffed by professionals passionate about animal welfare. These clinics provided free or low-cost services, including vaccinations, spay-neuter procedures, and emergency care. The project's reach extended to remote villages and urban slums, where strays roamed in large numbers and resources were scarce. To sustain these efforts, the foundation collaborated with governments and local businesses, creating partnerships that ensured long-term support. Taylor also tapped into her creativity, releasing a limited edition merchandise line inspired by Rusty, with proceeds funneling directly into the foundation. Fans eagerly purchased items like hoodies featuring Rusty's paw print, tote bags adorned with his image, and jewelry inscribed with the words, "Rescue, Love, Repeat." Meanwhile, Taylor's personal connection with Rusty deepened. Despite her packed schedule, she always made time for him, whether it was taking him on nature hikes, relaxing by the fireplace, or simply letting him nap in her lap during quiet moments. Rusty had become her confidant, a source of unconditional love in a world where fame often brought challenges and scrutiny. Taylor often described him as her anchor, a reminder of what truly mattered amid the whirlwind of her career. Rusty's personality continued to shine in unexpected ways. Though he had once been timid and cautious, he now exuded a playful confidence. He developed a unique bond with Taylor's cats, particularly Benjamin Button, who seemed to delight in Rusty's antics. Their unlikely friendship became a fan favorite, with Taylor frequently sharing photos and videos of their interactions. One viral video showed Rusty attempting to share a blanket with a very unimpressed Olivia, earning millions of views and comments like, "Even Taylor's pets have hilarious dynamics." As Rusty became a fixture in Taylor's life, he also inspired her creatively. During a particularly introspective phase in her songwriting, Taylor penned a heartfelt ballad about their journey together. Titled "Unseen Angels," the song chronicled the quiet heroism of animals like Rusty and the profound impact they could have on the lives of those who opened their hearts to them. The lyrics, tender and poignant, spoke of second chances, unexpected connections, and the beauty of finding love in the most unlikely places. When Taylor performed "Unseen Angels" for the first time, there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Rusty sat on stage beside her, his head resting on her knee as she sang. Fans later described the performance as one of the most moving moments in her career, a testament to the bond between artist and animal that had transcended words. In addition to inspiring music, Rusty's influence extended into Taylor's philanthropic ventures. She began exploring ways to address broader issues tied to animal welfare, including environmental conservation and wildlife protection. Partnering with organizations focused on preserving natural habitats, Taylor worked to promote sustainable practices that benefited both domestic animals and their wild counterparts. Rusty's Paw Project became a leader in advocating for humane solutions to conflicts between humans and wildlife. funding programs that educated communities about coexistence and stewardship. Taylor's dedication to Rusty and his legacy also sparked meaningful conversations about mental health and the healing power of animals. She often spoke candidly about how Rusty had helped her through difficult times, providing a sense of purpose and grounding when she needed it most. Recognizing the therapeutic potential of animal companionship, the Foundation launched a new program connecting rescue animals with individuals experiencing loneliness, trauma, or mental health challenges. Dubbed Pause for Healing, the initiative paired trained therapy animals with people in need, from veterans struggling with PTSD to children facing terminal illnesses. The program quickly gained traction, with heartwarming success stories emerging from every corner. One particularly touching account involved a young boy named Leo, who had been battling severe anxiety. Through Pause for Healing, Leo was introduced to a rescue dog named Daisy, a gentle Labrador mix who had been abandoned as a puppy. Over time, Daisy's calming presence helped Leo regain his confidence, and his mother wrote a letter to Taylor, thanking her for creating a program that had given my son back his smile. For Taylor, stories like Leo's reaffirmed her belief in the transformative power of kindness. She often shared these accounts during interviews and public appearances, using them to inspire others to take action in their own communities. Rusty taught me that love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up day after day and making a difference, even if it feels small, she said during one particularly memorable speech. If we all do what we can, imagine the change we can create together. As Rusty entered his senior years, Taylor became increasingly reflective about the impact he had made. She often found herself marveling at how a single encounter with a stray puppy had set off a chain reaction of compassion and change that spanned the globe. Rusty's face, once marked by uncertainty and struggle, now radiated contentment and peace. He had lived a life filled with love, not only as Taylor's cherished companion, but as a symbol of hope for millions. Rusty's later years were marked by quiet moments of joy. He loved lounging in the sun on Taylor's porch, chasing butterflies in the garden, and curling up beside her on rainy days. Taylor documented these moments with bittersweet gratitude, knowing their time together was finite but determined to cherish every second. Fans often commented on the profound bond they shared, describing it as a reminder of the beauty in life's simplest pleasures. When Rusty passed peacefully in his sleep one autumn evening, Taylor's heartbreak was shared by the world. Tributes poured in from fans, celebrities, and animal lovers alike, celebrating the life of the dog who had inspired so much change. Taylor, though grieving deeply, found solace in the legacy Rusty had left behind. She poured her emotions into her music, writing an album that captured the depth of her love for him and the lessons he had taught her. The album, aptly titled Rusty's Light, became an instant classic, resonating with listeners who had followed their journey from the beginning. Its themes of love, loss, and renewal struck a universal chord, reminding people that even in the face of sorrow, there was always hope. Rusty's Paw Project continued to thrive, its mission expanding to address new challenges and reach even more animals in need. Taylor often described the foundation as Rusty's greatest gift to her, a way to carry forward his spirit and ensure his impact would never fade. And though Rusty was no longer by her side in the physical sense, his presence remained palpable in everything she did, from her music to her philanthropy. Years later, a statue of Rusty was unveiled outside the Foundation's headquarters, a bronze tribute to the little dog who had changed the world. Beneath it, a simple inscription read, "He found love and he gave it back tenfold." Taylor stood beside the statue during the unveiling, her heart full of gratitude. She knew that Rusty's story was far from over. It lived on in every rescued animal, every transformed life, and every act of kindness inspired by a scruffy stray who had followed her down a cobblestone street one fateful day. And in that knowledge, she found peace, knowing that Rusty's light would continue to shine for generations to come. The years with Rusty were transformative for Taylor Swift, not just as a pet owner, but as a person deeply connected to the world around her. Rusty had taught her lessons about compassion, resilience, and the power of small moments, all of which became themes she carried into her art, advocacy, and everyday life. But Rusty's story wasn't just about their bond. It was about how one small act of kindness could ripple outward and affect countless lives. As Taylor's foundation, Rusty's Paw Project continued to grow. Its reach became astonishing. The initiative began partnering with corporate sponsors, leveraging Taylor's influence to secure funding and resources that elevated the lives of animals across the globe. One of the most impactful projects was the creation of Rusty Havens, state-of-the-art shelters that served as more than temporary homes for animals. These facilities offered veterinary care, behavioral training, and adoption services, as well as programs that allowed people to volunteer and engage with the animals in meaningful ways. The Rusty Havens also pioneered innovative approaches to pet adoption. Recognizing the challenges faced by many potential pet owners, such as lack of time, resources, or experience, the project launched a mentorship program. Experienced pet owners volunteered to mentor adopters, helping them adjust to life with their new furry friends. The program reduced the likelihood of animals being returned to shelters, ensuring more permanent and loving homes for them. The havens were unique in another way. They were designed to be inviting and warm, rejecting the often clinical or overcrowded feel of traditional shelters. With vibrant play areas, calming lounges, and spaces where animals could interact freely with potential adopters, the havens became models for a new era of animal care. Beyond the shelters, the foundation also delved into legislative advocacy. Inspired by Rusty's journey from the streets, Taylor worked with lawmakers to push for stricter regulations around animal abandonment and abuse. Rusty's Paw Project became a driving force behind legislation that increased penalties for neglect and supported community programs aimed at reducing stray populations humanely. At the heart of these efforts, Taylor remained deeply involved. Despite her busy career, she made time to visit shelters, participate in rescue missions, and meet with volunteers and adopters. Rusty often accompanied her on these visits, his wagging tail and calm demeanor bringing comfort to both animals and humans. For many, meeting Rusty felt like meeting a legend, an embodiment of hope and second chances. Rusty's role in Taylor's life continued to influence her music as well. While many of her songs referenced Rusty indirectly, one album was particularly shaped by him. Released as a surprise to her fans, the album was a deeply personal exploration of themes like loyalty, survival, and unconditional love. One standout track, titled Little Red Tail, told the story of Rusty's journey through metaphor and imagery, capturing the emotional weight of his transformation. The song became a fan favorite, with listeners sharing their own stories of love and redemption inspired by Rusty. The album also led to an emotional moment at the Grammys. During her acceptance speech for Album of the Year, Taylor brought Rusty on stage, his presence drawing cheers and applause from the audience. "This little guy reminded me that the smallest, scrappiest souls can have the biggest hearts," she said, her voice wavering with emotion. "And he's taught me that we're never too far gone to find love or to make a difference." Rusty's fame reached an almost mythical level, but Taylor was always careful to keep his life grounded and joyful. While Rusty loved the attention, his happiest moments were still the simplest ones. Chasing a ball in Taylor's backyard, napping on the couch with her, or greeting guests at the door with a wagging tail and bright eyes. Despite all the changes in the spotlight, Rusty remained the same at his core. A dog who had once been lost but was now profoundly loved. As Rusty grew older, his legacy only deepened. Taylor knew that time was precious, and she cherished every moment they shared. She often found herself reflecting on the day she first met him, marveling at how such a small, serendipitous encounter could lead to something so life-changing. Rusty's presence had reshaped her world, reminding her that love wasn't about grand gestures, but about consistency, kindness, and being there for someone when they needed it most. When the inevitable came and Rusty passed away peacefully in Taylor's arms, the grief was profound. The outpouring of love from fans, friends, and even strangers was overwhelming, with tributes flooding in from across the world. Taylor shared a heartfelt message on social media, accompanied by a photo of Rusty resting his head in her lap during one of their quiet afternoons together. "Rusty taught me more about love than I ever thought possible. He was my friend, my teacher, and my joy. He may have been small, but his heart was endless, and his legacy will live on in every animal saved and every person inspired by his story. I'll miss you forever, Rusty." Rusty's impact, however, was far from over. His story continued to inspire new initiatives, including a scholarship program for veterinary students and a global campaign encouraging pet adoption. Statues of Rusty were erected in Rusty havens around the world, serving as reminders of the resilience of stray animals and the power of love to transform lives. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on a stray puppy following Taylor Swift? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.